Hey everybody, Eric here. If you put a disc brake conversion on your ATV and it's not performing anywhere near where you're expected, well, join the club. Because I watched 3 videos yesterday and all 3 of them ended up with the same poorly functioning disc brake system. This is exactly the case of this Honda I got here right now. The owner put this on and tried to go up this little kind of a steep incline in it, and the bike shut off. Well, since the back brakes don't work, he tried to grab the front ones and they weren't gonna do anything. Literally started rolling back downhill and had to jump off the bike. Okay, just let it do what it was gonna do, because these brakes do not function. Everybody, I watched 3 videos yesterday, all after bleeding these brakes ended up with the exact same problem. I'm gonna show you what that problem is today, but all of them end up with a brake handle like this. It's almost like you can't bleed the brakes. I bled these brakes. I had a tube connected to the bleeder screw on here, and I literally had about an 8-inch tube of column of brake fluid in here. Not one bit of air is coming out of this system, because it's not the problem. Okay, the problem is not your hydraulics, it's a mechanical problem. So I'm going to show you. I want you to take a real close look at this caliper here and watch it when I press on the brake. Okay, I'll press right now. Here we go. Look at that thing moving. This is, when I first looked at this bike, I knew that wasn't right. Okay, there's no way your caliper should be moving like that. It's shifting side to side severely. Okay, half of my depression, half of my travel of this brake pedal I'm doing right now is just taking up the slack in this caliper, getting those 2 pads flat and pressed against the disc. Okay, the problem is this bracket, okay, that the caliper is mounted to. I'm gonna do something here a second. I'm gonna change a little something. I want you to watch the caliper now. Okay, I'm pushing the brake in, out, in, out. Completely different looking, right? It's not moving all over the place. This is what I'm doing right here. Okay, I'm moving the back of that bracket, because this bracket is not straight. I'm going to take all this off and I'm going to show you here in a second. This bend right here is not bent enough, and this end of the bracket is tilting our caliper this way. Okay, it's not straight. It's not aligned properly on the caliper. It's not a bent axle. It's not a hydraulic problem. It's a manufacturing defect problem in bending this. I'm going to take this off and take this part of the caliper off, and I'm going to try to get a straight edge up here. I'm going to show you. Okay, be right back. All right, so there's 2 things we're going to do. We're going to fix our brake pedal. See what I've done. I've taken that bracket off that attaches to your hub, and I've taken the bracket off that holds the caliper, and I've bolted them back together. And when you sit and look down the line of this, you will see that this bracket is aimed inward. Okay, it's not straight. You can just see by looking at it. We can also take a straight edge and place that straight edge on the bracket and move it up to here. And I've already straightened this bracket out. Well, I should see a real consistent gap along this line. Okay, if I'm not, before I was touching at the end and not touching here, and had a big gap in the middle. This was so bent. So the second thing you're going to see is this bracket itself is probably going to be a little bit warped as well. The whole problem is this is probably just mild steel. It's not sturdy enough, and none of this stuff is really holding together like it should. So I started with the bracket first. Like I said, I left it mounted just like I have it now, and I bolted in my vise, clamped it down right on that seam right there where we need it to bend. And I used a big crescent wrench, okay, and I literally caught the edge of these and I bent it more towards me. Okay, I needed more bend here. Okay, and that's what I did. I just bent it a little at a time, took it out of the vise, recheck it with my straight edge until I got really, really close. Okay, and then once I did that, once I got the bracket looking pretty decent, go ahead and remove this bracket back from the one for your caliper. And this was also warped, okay? This was like had a bow in it as well. And what I had to do was put this in the vise like this, okay? And I opened up my crescent wrench and used my crescent wrench gently on these and actually bent the bow back out of this by pulling on these pins. Now when you get done with all this, you're gonna also have to verify, use a pair of calipers, that your pins are straight. I measured the distance at the bottom and the distance at the top, so you may have to bend this in or out a little bit as well to make sure these are straight so they'll slide in and out of your calipers. Okay, so once you got these pretty good as straight as you can, we're gonna put all this back on the car and we're gonna fine tune it. So we'll be right back when I got this back together. All right, so I told you this is gonna fix our brake lever. Look at this. This is way better than what I showed you when I started. And I still got a little bit of fine tuning to do to make it even better. First I want to show you this is the left side brake caliper. This was moving just as much as the right side that I showed you in the video earlier. And I'm just gonna push on the brake. And you can see there's absolutely no movement to this caliper anymore, okay? Now on the right hand side, I still got this a little bit. I'm going to show you how I fine tune this, because right now when I just set you up and let you see how it's still moving a little bit, okay, very little bit. And what I actually have is a couple of shims in here, because I don't know if I bent that too far or not. It's just a guessing game. And what I've done is I've placed a couple shims in here after the fact, and so what it actually is having is made it worse when I put the shims in. So I'm gonna take them out. I have one on top and one on the bottom, right on the very end of that bracket that mounts to your hub is where I have that situated. Like I said, just temporary to make sure if I know I went too far. If I went too far, bent it too far open, then I put the shim in, it would get better, right? So I'm taking the shims out now, see what it does now. See, it's less movement than what I have with the shims in. So I need to bend this bracket out just a touch more, okay? But just doing that, even that improves my handle dramatically, that small amount, okay? All the problem with you not having a good handle, good brakes, spongy brakes, is from both of these brackets being bent. And as you probably determined now, if you've tried this already, they bend really easy, okay? I thought it was gonna be hard to bend them, and it's really not. So don't go He-Man on this thing, Incredible Hulk, start bending the crap out of it. Just bend a little bit at a time, and then come back and check your work, and you'll end up with a good brakes. I'm gonna reassemble this, do a final adjustment on this. I'm gonna reassemble it, and I'm gonna go park this thing on a hill and see if the brakes will hold for me, and I'll let you know. Well, what better test of the brakes than push her off a cliff and see what happens, I guess, huh? I hadn't tried any of this yet. It'll be the first time, so I feel pretty confident. Even though I see that probably from the previous set of wheels that were on this, it's been rubbed a nice spot into that brake line, and it's weeping out brake fluid there, which is definitely gonna be high on the priority list to replace. But I still got, before, this handle just easily pegged against the rubber grip, and so I feel pretty good about that. I got at least the rear handbrake working, so I can always toss the cell phone out of my left hand and grab that, I suppose, if I need to. Rear brake lever is now working, but there's no fixing this bad boy, so that's a no-go. Well, let's just see what happens. Give her a shot. I feel pretty good about it. I'm gonna do this park brake. See if we can get rolling. Here we go. Come on, baby. Push. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Stopping good. This is a real steep slope. It's a real steep slope. My lawnmower will not do this. It'll just slide down this hill. I'm doing just front brakes. Not bottoming out on the lever whatsoever. Oh, that's 10 times better. Alright guys. This is, I'm pretty sure, a guaranteed fix. Straighten up all your brackets, get your calipers for not bending back and forth, and it'll get your disc brakes working. So I hope this helped people out, because I know a lot of you have this problem. So appreciate you everybody watching. See you next time.